Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it is indeed heart-wrenching for me as I sat here for the past few minutes, as I listened to the honorable members of the opposition use this bill along the ethnic lines. Mr. Speaker, they know fully well that the drafting of the bill involved high levels of experts from across the world. I'm not surprised at all, because this is what our opposition MPs stand for, the main opposition MP, that is. Mr. Speaker, as I go into the Human Organ and Tissue Transplant Bill, Bill number 19 of 2021, it is an act to make provision for the donation and removal of human organs, tissues, cells, and biofluids for transplantation and blood, for transfusion, for their use for regenerative medicine, including cell therapy, gene therapy, and stem cell therapy, and other therapeutic purposes for medical, education, and for scientific research purposes, including stem cell, cell explant, and cell line research, and for other related matters. Mr. Speaker, many persons may ask, why should I give support to this bill, or how will this be beneficial to my family and I? Well, health is everybody's business, and we must all ensure that we play an integral role in the development of healthcare in our country. Now, before I go into details of this bill, I wish to familiarize the ordinary Guyanese man, woman, and child with some of the basic terms outlined in this bill. When we speak of organ, we speak of human organs, whether whole or in sections, for example, the heart, the kidney, the lung, pancreas, skin, cornea, amongst others. When we speak of tissue, we speak of human tissue, or a substance extracted from the human body. It is a group of cells with similar structure and functions as a unit. When we speak of biofluid, we speak of human tissue or a substance extracted from the human body. This includes cerebrospinal fluid, which is a clear fluid that surrounds the brain and spinal cord, which provides nutrients to the brain and works as a cushion also. We also include urine, saliva, sweat, and any other substance derived from biofluid. Blood. When we speak of blood, we're speaking of human blood. It's any substance derived from blood and any part of the body which can be used as a source from which to derive a constituent of blood for therapeutic, diagnostic, prognostic, and analytical use. When we speak of blood transfusion, what is blood transfusion? This means the transfusion of blood or any of its constituents, blood into a person, and includes the operation of removing all or part of the blood of a person and replacing it with blood taken from another person. What is a cell? We're speaking of human cell taken from an organ, a tissue, biofluid, or other substance derived from scientific procedures involving cells such as cell explant or cell line. What is a cell explant? This simply means a cell that is taken from a human tissue, organ, or biofluid and organotypically cultured using explant culture, for example, in neural tissue development and central nervous system regeneration. Cell line, what are we speaking about? We're speaking about cell culture developed from a single cell and therefore consisting of cells with a uniform genetic makeup that is specific to a given organ or disease state. For example, in research investigation of causes of cervical cancer, pancreatic cancer, or other carcinomas for organs within the body. Mr. Speaker, while Time will not permit me to dissect this bill in its entirety. I do wish to place emphasis on a few areas in which coverage is provided for in this bill and how persons can benefit extensively and meaningfully in the interest of preservation of their health and well-being. This bill speaks to the patient who has been waiting for a kidney and has not been able to find a compatible donor. This bill is for you. To that beautiful boy or girl living next door who has been admitted to the hospital and require blood transfusion on a routine basis because he or she has leukemia or any other blood-related disorders, we have your backs. This bill is for you. To that beautiful aunt that I met in the supermarket who can only travel on her electric bike because she has a chronic heart disease and cannot walk far distances and may soon need a new heart because medications are no longer alleviating her symptoms. This bill has you covered. To the farmer, to the fisherman, to the teacher, to the nurse who may need an organ, tissue, cell, or biofluids transplantation, living in any part or any of the 10 administrative regions across Guyana, this bill will help to advocate for your well-being. Whether you narrowly escape to fire and receive severe burns and will need reparative surgery and may be in urgent need of blood or its components, this bill is for you. Mr. Speaker, I know many persons may ask, and the burning question on the minds of many may be, how will I be able to access these services, and how will I be guided on doing so? Well, this bill also provides for that. So in order to ensure that donors and recipients are guided and educated on their roles and functions in the human organ, tissue, cell, and biofluid transplantation process, a human organ and tissue transplant agency will be established and constituted and therefore will be responsible for, just to name a few, one, coordinating and managing the donation process for organs, tissues, cells, and biofluids. Two, provide education to the general public, healthcare communities about matters relating to the donation and use of organs, tissues, cells, and biofluids. Three, facilitate, coordinate, and manage the procurement, storage, preservation, distribution, and delivery of organs, tissues, cells, and biofluids. Four, for implementing quality assurance programs, including donor quality assurance program, with regular audits for ongoing and monitoring and evaluation of that program. Five, to ensure that patients and their relatives have appropriate information and opportunities to consider whether to consent to the donation of organs, tissues, cells, or biofluids, and to facilitate the provision of that information. Mr. Speaker, the PPPC government has a track record of transparency and accountability, and hence will also ensure that a national donor and transplant registry be established. This registry will be responsible for mainly for registering, one, consents and amendments and revocation of consents of adults respecting the donation of their organs, tissue, cells, or biofluids, and cell explants or cell lines. Two, for patients awaiting transplantation of organs, tissue, cells, and biofluids, and recipients of organs, tissue, cells, and biofluids. The registry shall have facility for both in-person and online registration of donors. The agency also shall establish and manage a register of patients waiting for the transplantation of organs, tissue, cells, and biofluids. They will also ensure that medical criteria for allocating organs, tissues, cells, and biofluids and substances derived from scientific procedures involving organs, tissues, cells, and biofluids, and a system to fairly and equitably allocate available tissue, cells, organs, and biofluids, and any scientific procedures involving organs, tissues, cells, and biofluids. Mr. Speaker, Clearly, this bill was drafted with a visionary and comprehensive approach that will allow beneficiaries, whether donors, recipients, healthcare providers, and the population at large, to experience a new era of scientific, medical, and analytic approach to the management of human organ and tissue transplantation service in Guyana. This is a bill that will create easier avenues or access to life-saving and best practices in the donation of organs, tissues, or biofluids for patients all across Guyana. And I therefore fully support this bill. I encourage my colleagues on the opposite side, please read this bill and go through each and every word, read and understand, and you will see why this bill needs to be passed. Thank you.